सिन्दूरारुणविग्रहा त्रिनयना माणिक्यमौली स्फुरत् तारानायकशेखरा स्मितमुखी मामीनवक्षोरुहा पाणिभ्यामलिपूर्णरत्नचषकम् रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीं सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकाम् सान्निपातिकज्वर सततज्वर विषमज्वर ग्रह नक्षत्र दोषाञ्चान्या हर हर काली सर सर गौरी घम घम विद्ये आले माले काले बन्धे भज भज विद्ये मख मख विद्ये नाशय नाशय पापम् हर हर दुःस्वप्नम् विध्वंसय विध्वंसय विघ्नविनाशिनि रजनी सन्ध्ये बन्धुभिनादे मानस्तोषे मानसवेगे शङ्खिनी चक्रिणी वज्रिणी गदिनी शूलिनी अपमृत्युविनाशिनी विश्वेश्वरी द्राविडी केशवदैते पशुपति सहिते धीममर्दिनि गमनी कामिनी शबरी विराटी वाजक्ती ॐ द्रं 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 ॐ द्रं गुरु गुरु
Namaste. Welcome you all for yet another wonderful power pack session today on the occasion of the International Global Festival of Yoga organized by Indica Yoga along with all its partner organizations. And today we are going to have yoga but with some difference. Usually when we say yoga, we all think of the yoga mat and in the yoga shala, in the very setup of yoga with all these paraphernalia. But after this COVID-19 situation have started, in fact, many of us are restricted to our home, our own probably the office space or our own dining tables and all, where we don't have much space to move around and do practice yoga. In fact, often we have to spend a lot of time sitting and working with tiresome things, the office works and all. And even children are today put forth for online classes. So sitting in long time on the chairs has become kind of a necessity today. And how would we manage this? When you sit for a long, you would also get a lot of health issues, maybe the stiff back or problem with the neck and your back or the legs are all quite possible to happen. And moreover, the more usage of our fingers than what is required. So with all these conditions, we are going to have a lot of health issues faced by the people today. And so it was not like only for senior citizens, but people of all ages today require yoga with this difference, and that is the chair yoga. Thanks to Sri BKS Iyengarji, who had brought this concept of using different props which were available within the home, within the environment of home. It could be a simple chair, it could be a brick which used to be available, or just a rope. Using all those, he brought the mechanism of the prop yoga. And today, of course, it has become kind of an industry to make those yoga props. But today, the guest with us, Prabha Krishna, is going to show us in a very simple way but effective way a chair which is available at our own home. Probably all of us would have this dining table chair, and using that and simple blanket, we are going to experience this yoga with a difference, and that is the chair yoga. And I'm sure all of us are going to benefit from this. Let me take the privilege of welcoming the guest today, Srimati Prabha Krishna, the Secretary of Yoga Bharati. We welcome Prabha Krishna ji with our video to be with us. Namaste, Prabhaji. Welcome you again to be with us on this Global Festival of Yoga organized by Indica Yoga and its partnering organizations. And I think if there is one platform, one festival where a lot of people come together from different parts of the globe, but with one common thread, that is yoga, and that is the Global Festival of Yoga. You will be very happy to know. Just a week back, we had your guru, Sri Raghuramji, who was of course our guru, my guru as well. So he was here in the same time, in the same platform. And today we are very happy to welcome you also as the Secretary of Yoga Bharati. Friends, as you all know, Srimati Prabha Krishna is a very versatile, multifaceted yoga practitioner and teacher. She is a lifestyle consultant and also the chief yoga therapist of Yoga Bharati. And she has been leading all wonderful academic programs of Yoga Bharati India. Right from its inception, she had been working to spread its wings across different parts of Bangalore city. And today she has made a wonderful team of dedicated teachers, especially a team of devoted women who have been there and doing such wonderful things. And she has been running wonderful courses, different courses. It could be right from the yoga certification program, the advanced programs, and even after this lockdown and COVID-19 started, a series of free sessions through online programs Prabhaji and the team had been organizing. Initially, Prabhaji was there in the pharmaceutical field, and where she would be convinced only that medicine would cure diseases and all. But slowly, when she was able to see that the power of yoga, how yoga can help people to get cured and transform their lives, and then the slow transformation in her got happened, and that too, it was very profound once she attended the soul stirring lectures of our guru Sri Raghuramji at Yoga Bharati USA, and that made her to take a full-time interest in yoga, right from the pharmaceutical field to the spiritual and yoga line, that she took an interest, a kind of a U-turn from there. And she was very convinced that people can be healthy without taking any external medicine by bringing the healing within. And that made her to take a journey further to do the course in yoga therapy at SVSF and various other things. She is a very specialized teacher with anatomical yoga, the anatomy of yoga postures, to which she is a specialized teacher. And she is very good in bringing the mythological stories, shlokas, their significance in today's contemporary relevance. Her Navratri festival, which she would organize, 9 days celebration, wherein children, elders, everybody would go and rejoice the wonderful storytelling which she can bring in with wonderful theme. Every year a new theme she would set up and connect that to the contemporary situation. That is another facet, a speciality of Prabhaji. I can keep on going telling about Prabhaji because I have been associated with her for a long time. I had the privilege of being with Yoga Bharati in the initial days before I had to start Adhyatma Yoga. And it's my privilege to say that this year, during the International Women's Day on March 1st, we were privileged to honor Prabhaji to revere her work, which she has been done in empowering women in yoga. A dedicated team of women that she has been leading, and she also, as a woman, had been setting an example for women to take up yoga in a full time and do. And the transformation which she took a U-turn from the pharmaceutical field to yoga, all these, were the factors which motivated us to honor her the Yoga Lakshmi Puraskara in the fond memory of Shri Lakshmi Amma, the founder of S. Vyasa Prashanti Kutiram. So once again, on behalf of Indica Yoga Academy, the Global Festival of Yoga, I take the privilege of welcoming Prabhaji for this session on the chair yoga. And we're all, sitting on our chairs, not on the mats, sitting on the chairs. We also eagerly to join with you to do this session, Prabhaji. Thank you. Welcome you.
Thank you very much, very much for the detailed intro, Sububaya. It's been a pleasure always to have known you. And I thank Indica Yoga platform for giving me an opportunity to present before so many people about the therapeutic yoga here, which I'm going to be showing all about. And I would be giving a good amount of explanation so that you could understand how it would benefit you at this present times, because this most of the time we are sitting on the chair, we are doing our work, attending our meetings, and many times we end up, okay, let me just sit and watch TV because maybe I don't have any other things to do. Maybe I would like to watch something which is interesting. So most of the time we either slouch in the sofa, or due to the lifestyle here, we have that postural, improper postures there, which results either in a shoulder pain or a upper back pain, or mostly 90% of the time there is a stiffness in the back, in the lumbar area, or some people have a pinching nerve, sciatica on the neck side. So it's very important that we start understanding what all the practices are required, so that we end up having that mobility in the spine. So this mobility in the spine also is important to bring about mobility in the muscles there, because the muscles are the ones which are holding the joints there. So let's start the session today with just mindfulness, and then we will continue with the practices. Okay. So all of you just sit comfortably. I hope all of you are sitting in a chair. A steady chair is what is important. And as we had informed, make sure that you have a blanket. And very important here, which I want to give a tip to everyone, is sometimes what happens is when you have a stiffer lower back, when you're uplifting the spine, when we uplift our spine, it becomes much more better to do our poses. And it helps us also to reach our poses, as well as to relieve any stiffness in the lumbar area. So what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to take this blanket here, and I'm going to fold it. So maybe it's a kind of a few inches, maybe 4 to 5 inches high here. And I'm going to keep it on my chair here, and I'm going to sit on top of that. So maybe if you all could try that, it just suddenly you would feel that your spine is much more uplifted. The spine is lifted, your hip joint is higher than the knee joint. So when the hip is higher than the knee joint, it helps you to bend forward comfortably without straining any muscles. It helps you to bend laterally also. So you would find that you're much comfortable doing a lot of the practice. So sit comfortably. And one more tip to everyone is, if your feet is not reaching the floor, it's very important your feet has to be stabilized. If the feet is not reaching the floor, maybe the height of the chair is too much, or because of your height, what you could do is again place a folded blanket or a yoga brick and keep it there and place the feet there like a footrest. We say for our ergonomic sitting office posture, we need a footrest sometimes, isn't it? So same way you can all have that in case your feet is not reaching the floor. Keep your knees parallel to each other, feet parallel like a parallel road there, palms on top of your thighs. Roll your shoulders once and collapse. Facial muscles relaxed. Keep your eyes closed. And observe the breath. Tune into your breath. Observe the inflow and the outflow of the breath. Feel the air moving in and out. Let the thoughts come and go, but you are tuned to your breath. You're only an observer to your breath. Just observe your breath. Join your heart's palms together in the heart center to a Namaskara Mudra. And again, still feel connected to your breath, connected to any of the bodily sensations, the rise and fall of your chest. Now let's chant 3 rounds of Om as you exhale. Breathe in. Inhale. Inhale. Feel the calmness after Om chanting. Whenever you're ready, just rub your palms. Feel the warmth between the palms. Cup your eyes. Just cup it, don't press on the eyeballs. You're just cupping, pressing the warmth to your eyes and eyeballs. You feel very good. And gently release the palms and blink open your eyes. Such a simple practice as what we did right now itself helps you to get connected to yourself. Sometimes our senses are so outward, we sometimes don't know how we are. So if you are attending a meeting or you are having something which is very important, the mindful breathing here, just sitting on your chair itself will really help you to get some clarity in your mind. And then you attend your meeting, you would see a changed you, a transformed you there. So let's start moving our shoulders and fingers, which might be a little stiff sometimes. So simple practices, what I'm going to be teaching you all, might really help you to mobilize and bring about mobility in your muscles. So just fingers interlocked there. And you can keep it on top of your chest. And straight away, you can give a good vertical stretch. And slowly bring it back to the chest area. Inhale, you raise it above, give a vertical stretch. Try to keep your elbows straight, head straight. And exhale, you're bringing your palms back to the chest. A simple practice like this itself helps you to relieve any stiffness around your shoulder area, the upper back area, your arms. Slowly palms back. Last round, breathe in, stretch up. Palms outward, always palms facing the ceiling. And exhale, slow and steadily bring your palms back. Very good. Interlock fingers still and keep it on top of your head. So this is a wonderful practice. Whenever you feel there is a stiffness in the shoulder area, if you do this practice, it really helps. And even if people with frozen shoulder, so what is meant by a frozen shoulder? Your shoulder is frozen. That is a common, layman term. It all because of the stiffness around your shoulder joint. All the muscles surrounding the shoulder joint are very stiff or very, you can say, they are in a very unhealthy state or in a constrained state. So we are going to help it relieve by raising our shoulders up towards the ears and pulling it down. So inhale, you can combine with the breath, coordination along with the movement. Exhale, lower the shoulders down. So your head is still looking straight. You can keep your eyes closed or open. but you are working on the shoulders with conscious breath awareness also. So what happens, you might wonder, if I do this fast, I might be doing this way. So when you do this way, it actually strains your shoulders more. So the slow and very conscious breath awareness plus the shoulder movement would help you to relieve the stress around the shoulder. So you're raising the shoulder and putting it down. Raising the shoulder as you inhale and putting it. So if you practice this every day, maybe for about 10 rounds, or maybe every 2 hours during your office day or during your regular day routine, you will find that the shoulder is much relaxed. Last round, let all of us do. Breathe in and breathe out. And release your hands sideways. Interlock the fingers still. Now again, interlock. We're just working on our wrist joint and our fingers. So what you could do, just bring the interlocked fingers just in front of the chest, so that the elbows are bent, your shoulders are relaxed. Ensure, so if you kind of hunch your shoulders like this, then it's wrong. Consciously pull down your shoulders always. So whenever during the day, you can consciously pull down your shoulders so that your shoulders are relaxed. Okay? So interlock the fingers and press both the palms firmly, apply some counter pressure each other. So both the palms are pressing. You would feel that tension coming on your wrist area, in your biceps, triceps. There is your arm muscles there, your forearm muscles. You feel that tension, but do not hold your breath. Your breath is still continuing, but you are giving that counter pressure there. Just release. Once more, press. Feel that pressure arising on your shoulder, on your arm muscles, on your wrist joint area, on your fingers. Release. If you continue this practice every day, you would find a good relief in the wrist joint area. People having carpal tunnel syndrome, people having wrist joint, any other muscle problem, any finger numbness, all this also, this was one of the practices which helps you relieve. Another practice is interlocking and pulling your palms forward. Palms are outward. Give a good stretch. Yes, a good stretch. Feel that the elbow joint is kind of straight. The shoulders are relaxed. Don't raise arms too much. Arms at shoulder level here. Keep your legs firm and then release. So when you do that, you could feel that the fingers are all giving a good stretch. So that itself is a wonderful practice. Once in a while, when you are typing or when you are doing a lot of hand movements, this itself is very, very good. So once more, let's do that. Stretch, palms outward, give a good stretch. Keep breathing normally. Keep breathing normally. Give a good stretch there. Yes, and palms back. Most of the time, what happens is a lumbar area. There is a lumbar spine, L1 to L5. We keep hearing, reading the MRI scan, L5, there is a disc collapse, or S1, the sacrum area, there is a pronated disc, anything it could be, isn't it? Or we might be ending up with a stiff back. So this is the time for us to ensure that we need to really bring about some movement on your spine area. So sitting on the chair itself, let's do the simple practice. So a twist here, breathe in and breathe out, right palm on top of your left knee, left palm on top of your right knee, right hand behind, keep it on the armrest and twist to the right. Open up your chest, the chest muscles, the pectoral muscles here, it opens up. Your shoulder area, the right shoulder opens up. You're looking towards the right. Neck muscles are relaxed, even though it is looking towards the right. And then come back to the center. Breathing in the center again. Breathe out, the right palm on top of the left hand behind. Open towards your left side. Make sure your abdomen is tucked in, navel is engaged, chest open. Your left part of your shoulders are open, neck muscles relax. and come back to the center. Shall we repeat this again? Breathe in, center. Breathe out, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. And all the time, my knees are parallel to each other. Don't push your knees towards the other knee. Knees are parallel. You're only using your lumbar area. You're using your chest muscles and a little bit of your neck muscles. So all of you keep continuing while I still talk, because I wanted to make this informative for you. And exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Last round, let's do it. Exhale, twist. Open up the right side of the chest area. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Open up your left side. Feel the opening up in the oblique muscles. Feel that there. Very good. Release. The next practice, come in front of your chair. Open your legs a little bit. Just open up your legs. Your toes can be pointed sideways. The alignment can be like this. So see, all the practices which I am teaching you can be very useful for people with knee issues also. Because what happens is when there is problem in the kneecaps or in the knee joint, it starts radiating slowly to the hip joint. The muscles of the knee, around the knee joint are also connected sometimes to the hip also. For example, your quads here, your thigh muscles, your hamstring muscles. So all of them are connected to your glutes there, your sitting bones there. So it's very, very important that we need to strengthen the muscles of our legs, to strengthen the muscles of our back, because they're all interconnected. So here, wonderful practice here. Even people who are pregnant also can do this because they feel very, very good. And people also with chest, constriction, or people who are not able to breathe well can also do this practice. So keep your palms in front of your chest and push. Let me show the movement. Push your palms forward and open sideways, and then come back to the original position. So breathe in, push as if you're pushing something. Give it counter pressure. Open your arms sideways, see backwards, squeezing the shoulders, and then come. So you're working on the shoulders there. So that's more important. Push and open, squeezing the shoulders and back. Breathe and push. Exhale, open. Open the gate. It's like opening the gate. You're pushing the gate. You're pushing with your pressure on your arms. And then you're opening the gate. So you really enjoy this practice. Press, a stretch happens in your adductor, that is the inner thigh area. Push and open. Wonderful. Last round. Push and open your arms. Bring it back to the chest. Release only your palms. Let the legs still remain there. Relax your shoulders. After every practice, a beautiful principle is stimulation and relaxation. So if any one of you who are attending, who are having a shoulder ache or a back ache, upper back, middle back area, it's always important for you to understand that your practice should have a stimulation and a relaxation. So you stimulate by doing the practice and then consciously relax for a few seconds so that the muscles feel good. Again stimulate, again relax. That brings about healing of the muscles, that brings about mobility, and the spine feels good, the spinal cord, the nerves feels very comforted there. So that's very important to treat our body as a child. As a mother treats the child, we have to treat our body as a child. It's very important to take care of our body, because who else will take care? We only have to take care. The next very beautiful practice there, to give a lateral stretch to your lateral muscles there, is just keep your right arm, very casually around your right, on your right thigh. Just let your shoulders just flop there. The left arm, slowly first give a vertical pull. First, always ensure, give a vertical pull for all the muscles on the sides. Give a vertical pull, then inhale in the vertical, exhale, just laterally. So even if you're a beginner in yoga, you can really go into this pose. And inhale, release your left, come back straight, and now put your left arm there on the leg here. Right arm stretch, breathe in, vertical stretch, exhaling, lateral stretch towards the left. See, you can keep your biceps touching the ears. Now, what will happen if those who are not able to raise hands so much, you can raise till whatever you are comfortable. At least some muscles are getting stretched. So never aim for the perfect pose, because you keep aiming for the perfect pose, we might hurt ourselves. Listen to your body signals and keep challenging your body. That's very important, but also making sure that you are engaging the muscles without straining. And come back. Let's continue. Breathe in, left arm up. Exhale, right bend. Lateral bend to the right. Till my legs are engaged, my feet is firm on the floor. Breathe in, come back to the center and exhale. Release your arms. Breathe in, right arm up, stretch vertically. Exhale, lateral bend to the left. Biceps touching the ears, open up your chest towards your left side. Don't look down. Look towards your right side. Yes, release. Inhale and exhale, release. Last one, breathe in, left arm stretch. Exhale, bend. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, release. Breathe in, stretch vertical. Exhale, bend. Open your chest towards your right side. Breathe in, stretch. Exhale, release. Try to keep your back straight, still in this pose. Observe your abdomen, the lower abdomen, the upper abdomen. Keep your eyes closed. Breathe in and breathe out, consciously aware of your abdomen. You are rooted to the chair there. You feel that your back is upright, your navel is engaged, slightly pulled in. Your chest is open, your facial muscles relax, a beautiful smile. Close your eyes if you are comfortable. And keep breathing there. Inhale, feel the abdomen rising. Exhale, the abdomen. Be connected to your breath and become aware of your abdomen movement. Wonderful. Last round, all of you. Very nice. Slowly, gently catch hold of your thighs here and very gently bring it back. Stretch your right leg forward, right heel on the floor. But the leg is straight, right heel on the floor. Let's work a little bit on the back area now. Breathe in, raise your arms up, palms facing each other. Breathe out, bend forward till you're comfortable. Yes. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, reach out to your right toes, right ankle or right kneecap, whatever you're comfortable. Your left leg is firm. Breathe in, stretch up. Vertical stretch and reaching out, folding forward. Breathe in, stretch up. And breathe out, fold forward and reach forward. No hump. Try not to hump. Breathe and stretch up. Last round. And exhale. Reach forward. Feel that stretch coming in your hamstring area, in your calf muscles, because your kneecap is tight or pulled. Inhale. Raise your arms up and release. See, most of the times what happens is there is a hump on your back when we sit on the computer. So most of the time, if I want to show you, so we were unconsciously, without our awareness, we might hump our shoulders and we might be typing. Or maybe our chair height is very high, or maybe our chair height is very low, so we jut our neck forward, and maybe we do that. So it's very important, first of course, to be aware once in a while, how is your posture? And also during your yoga practice, you also need to be aware, how am I bending forward? Am I bending right correctly? Am I bending sideways correctly? So even if you're reaching forward, try to ensure that you don't, make a hump of your spine. So if you are in any way doing this, you are humping your spine and doing this, then what happens is the muscles are not engaged properly. You're actually pulling your, the abdomen muscles in too much and humping the spine. So how much you are bending forward, you can bend till your comfort, but you need to reach forward. So try to ensure that the back is in a straight line and you are, reaching forward. If you're able to reach only this much, it's absolutely fine. That is the right way of bending forward in a chair. So whether you're sitting down or chair, today is chair. So reach forward like this instead of humping your back. So always check, maybe you can do a selfie or you can ask someone to click a photo of how you are bending so that you know, okay, am I bending correctly? So it's very important to self-assess. Stretch our left leg now. Left heel on the floor, toes pointing up towards the ceiling. Left knee joint is tight or pulled in, okay? So that the entire leg muscles are engaged, your quads, your hamstring and all are engaged. Back straight, right foot firm on the floor, right knee joint facing forward. Breathe and stretch your arms, completely vertical stretch. Exhale, reach forward like I do. Very good. Breathe and stretch up. Exhale, reach. Breathe and stretch up. Exhale, reach. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, reach out. Last time, let's do. Breathe and stretch up. And exhale, forward. And slowly come back. Let us come straight again. Release your leg. Close your eyes. Just check your breath. Very simple practice is what we did today. We did a lateral bend. We did a twist for our muscles there. We did a shoulder. We have done a forward bend. Let's do a back bend also. A simple back bend there. We call it a tiger breathing. We see Marjarasana when you do it on the floor. But what we are going to do is on the chair there. Very wonderful practice. You can do it any time of the day. Of course, when your stomach is lighter. So what you're going to do is, I'm going to keep my chair on the side so that you could see a side view of myself. I'm still sitting on my raised, a platform there so that my hip is uplifted. My hip is higher than the knee joint, which I told you at the beginning of the class. And then I'm going to hold my backrest here. I'm going to hold it, okay? So maybe just few inches above the the chair seat. And I hold it itself, my chest is open. So as I inhale, I push my pelvic or the abdomen area, my chest forward and bend my neck backwards. As comfortable as you are. Exhaling, I'm making a hump. I'm making a hump of my upper back and pulling my navel in and putting my head down. So in case of any doubts, look at me. Breathe in. I open my chest forward, abdomen forward, elbows slowly tucking closer, neck backwards. Exhale, hump your back, chest forward, chin closer to the chest, making a hump of your spine. Breathe in, open your chest, your neck backwards, your elbows tucked closer to you, as comfortable. Exhale, your elbows are running outward. Make a hump of your spine, your navel pulled in. Breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out to your capacity. Very important there. Each of you would have a different pattern or rhythm in breathing. It's very important to listen to your body and never hold your breath at any point of time. Breathe in, open, last round. Exhale and feel the contraction of the chest muscles. Your neck is relaxed, bending forward. Very good. Come back straight. Release. Close your eyes. Keep your eyes closed. Gently open your eyes. A wonderful practice next, which I'm going to be teaching you all, which you can do it every day, is a butterfly pose. A butterfly, flying pose here. So it's a very almost towards the end of the class now. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to open our arm sideways and raising it up. And as you bend forward, open your arm sideways and reach forward. And breathe in, raise your arms sideways and sit straight and raise your arms up and cross your arms. Exhale, bend forward from the root of your back. Without any hump, reach forward, release your hands. Breathe in, open and stretch out. Breathe out, bend forward and release. So this also release any tension around your shoulders, any tension around your chest muscles. It makes you feel really good, free like a butterfly flapping the wings. Inhale, come up and stretch. Exhale, forward. Last round, let's do once more, please. Reach out up and reach out, reach down forward. Slowly walk your hands and come. I'm sure it made you feel very good, made you feel very happy. So always have a smile in your face when you do your yoga. Keep your facial muscles relaxed. So it's time to be always joyful. Be connected to yourself. That is meant to be joyful. So the last practice here is a wonderful practice which my class people also enjoy. I have seen that, and I too enjoy teaching that. Is they're so stressed up sometimes because of the present times, or maybe you just had an argument with a spouse or with a work member there, or something has happened that you feel very stressed. Sometimes just sitting and doing this practice will make you feel very good. Even the butterfly stretch makes you feel good. And one more practice is raising both the legs and both the arms like, and then come back. Breathe in, stretch your legs and arms, open up and come. So do it slowly if you're having a lower back issue, that is a tailbone issue. If you have a sciatica, do it very slowly. Or you can do only one leg, one arm like this. See, I'm giving you a variation. You can do this variation like this. And others, let's all open and close. Open and close. So let's combine with ah, like this, open up with a loud ah, like that. Open, ah, and close. Open, ah, and close. Last time. Open, ah, close, palms back, close your eyes. Just feel connected to yourself. Feet rooted on the ground. Palms on top of your thighs. Facial muscles relax. Become connected to your body. As I tell you, bring your awareness to that part of the body. Gently bring your awareness to your right heel. The right toes, all the toes there, wiggle your toes, right leg toes, wiggle, or move your toes and place the toes back on the floor. Feel the connection of your right foot on the floor. Your awareness is on your right foot. Slowly, the awareness is shifting upwards to your calf muscle, to your kneecap of your right leg, to your thighs and hip joint. Shifting the awareness to the left hip joint, your thigh muscle, the kneecap of your left, calf muscle, the heel pressing on the floor, the sole, the toes of your left leg. If you want, you can move to bring your awareness. Stop the movement. Feel the connection of both of the feet on the floor. Feel that contact point there. Observe the feet in contact with the floor. A kind of energy goes into you. You feel so connected to Mother Earth. Gently shift your awareness to your abdomen muscles there and observe the rise and fall of your abdomen. You can keep your eyes closed, which will help you to look inwards, to observe your body without using your eye sense. Only you are observing. The rise and fall of your abdomen, the rise and fall of your chest. Become aware of your right shoulder joint, the right armpit. If there is any tightness in that area, consciously collapse your right arm, the right forearm, the bicep, tricep, elbow joint, wrist joint, and all the fingers of your right arm completely collapse. Feel the heaviness in the right arm. Shift your awareness now to the left shoulder. You can lean back if you want in case you feel like leaning back and relaxing. Shoulder joint of your left area. Your left forearm, bicep, tricep, wrist joint, fingers. Completely collapse your left arm consciously. Now become aware of your sitting bones sitting on the chair. Become aware of your glutes. Become aware of your lower back, your lumbar area. Visualize a tube running from the lower back till the base of the skull, the neck area. As you inhale, feel the energy rising from the base of the spine till the neck. And as you exhale, feel the energy moving down from the spine, neck till the bottom of the spine. Consciously breathe in, feel the energy rise. Exhale, and the energy moving down, down, down. Inhale, feel the energy rise, energizing you. And exhale. Last round. Breathe in and breathe out. The entire back muscles are relaxed. Shift your awareness to your facial muscles, your lips, Swallow your saliva and observe the pathway of the saliva. Your nostrils, observe the air moving in and out of the nostrils. A beautiful smile in the cheeks. Your eyes and eyeballs and the forehead. Relax your eyes and eyeballs and let it sink and feel the coolness in your eyes and eyeballs. The entire head is completely released of any tension. You feel very good. Gently. Namaskar Mudra in your heart center. And let's chant one Om as you exhale. Breathe in. Om. Feel the calmness after Om. The entire body feels rejuvenated, re-energized. Rub your palms to generate warmth, still keeping your eyes closed. And pass the warmth to your eyes, to your cheeks, to your throat, chest. A wonderful intention in the mind that I am healthy, my body organs, muscles are healthy. I am going to take care of my body signal. Blink open your eyes, looking at the palm. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hope you found the session relaxing. If any doubts, you can reach out.
Yes, that was wonderful session, energizing session, relaxing session as well, Prabhaji. And many were, very observant of your pet, which is in Yoga Nidra there, listening to your beautiful instructions. Many of the participants have been commenting, saying, wow, it's so nice that even, a dynamic dog, which is supposed to be disturbing your yoga there, but very, tranquil state that it has got, it has been relaxing. I think, the other day when Raghuramji was there telling us about Bhakti Yoga, he did bring examples of a dog. So I think today it was a practical experience of that also. Yes, thank you so much. And it's nice, of course. And we have such wonderful participants who have been, with us from different parts of the globe, from Peru, from Germany, from the US, and even in India, in different, places from, Mumbai and different places. Somebody from Kerala, and all have been, very well appreciating the wonderful session, and where they could get beautiful relaxation as well. It's not just about stretching, but also the relaxation that they could experience. So, of course, we have quite a few questions, and I would like to take up. One is, of course, I think two people, Ashok ji as well as Dharmeshwar Upadhyaya, who asked about neck muscles. Anything for the neck muscles? Do you have specific exercise for neck? Because nowadays people strain a lot of this, maybe long driving, if not now sitting and working a lot. So is there any specific practices for neck, Prabhaji?
So the neck muscles here, before that, yes, his name is Simba, and he's been in all of the yoga session. And when I say inhale, you would also see him snoring. So he's a yogi, Simba, to say exactly. Okay. So the next thing to answer here, the questions is neck muscles is very, very important that whenever you want to strengthen the neck muscles here, always remember that we need to strengthen our shoulders, our upper clavicular area, and the upper shoulders also. Because the neck muscles are connected here, there is a muscle here which really connects to the shoulder muscle, to the upper back. So what all practices which we did today really helps a lot. Along with that, if you do every day, mindful neck rotations, neck exercise, which is very, very important. Most of the time, the doctors would say, do neck exercise, and people will say 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is the speed sometimes we go around. So instead of that, let's go slowly, breathe in and very gently pull down. So this you can do up and down, the right and left neck movements, the shoulder movements, and whenever possible, correct your postures while you are sitting on in the chair or when you're driving. Are you jutting your neck forward? In that way, consciously put your neck backwards. So there's a wonderful practice called head glide. So what you need to do is, I'll sit sideways so that you can observe your neck, which everyone can get a tip here. It's called a head glide there. So I teach this to my participants. That is, we always have a tendency to jut our neck forward. So let's jut our neck forward a little bit and slowly glide it back towards the spine. Again, jut it. Again, slowly jut it, take it back. So feel the tension around the back of the neck muscles there. Till your shoulders are loose, slowly jut it forward and take the neck back. So every day, if you do this head glide, it might really help you, sir, to kind of relieve any tension around your neck. And keep doing the neck shoulder practice.
Oh, very nice. In fact, when you were demonstrating, Simba was also joining with you in showing this set. And also today, with a lot of digital time that people are spending, especially children, you have been working with kids a lot as well. So is there any specific practices that we can do to relax our eyes and get it avoid from the strain that it is otherwise causing because of this? Because we don't have otherwise we are not able to go to a yoga center and practice now. So most of the even yoga sessions as well happening in online other than the office or school, which is all happening. So what is the best thing for the eyes, Prabhaji?
So what you could do is, what we did palming here today was in the beginning of the session and the ending of the session. The palming itself, research studies have shown that it really relaxes the eye muscles. So if your child is viewing, having online sessions for maybe about 2-3 hours, maybe they have a break between 2 sessions. You could ask your child to rub your palms nicely. Ask the child, they love this practice also because somewhere they feel very good. Feel that warmth there and cup your eyes. So the cupping has to happen in such a way that you're not pressing on the eyes there, you're only cupping. So there's a cup there. So what happens there, the warmth goes to your eye muscles, which might be very much strange there. So that really helps in doing about 2 to 3 times of palming really helps for people who are viewing the screen for a longer period of time, either for adults or juniors. And once in a while, going and splashing your eyes with cold water also really helps in giving that energizing thing. And it's very important that you just take your palms, fill it with water and open your eyes and then splash. So that kind of helps you a lot. It just rejuvenates you. And cold water. And one more practice, soaking a cotton, a pad with some warm water and applying it to your child also helps. And doing everyday eye exercises. So we call Jatrutartaka. So if you could teach your child maybe doing up and down movement of your eyes, right and left movement. Maybe it could be a family, practice together. Everyone can sit around in the dining table before eating. Maybe they do the practice and then eat. That's where when all the family gathers. So consciously telling your child to do palming, to do all these things, because obviously you can't allow the child to sit for a long time and do this. Small things like this, they would be encouraged.
That's nice. In fact, it's good that you told you can practice it even with the whole family together just before a meal or something is also very nice. I think that is a good way today with all the people at home together, so they can do it. We have a question from Smita Hanchinal, who is asking whether is it advisable or okay to sit with a blanket all the time, especially the adolescent age kid, to correct the posture.
Yes, very much true. Very, very apt question. Thank you so much for saying that. See, what happens is our chair sometimes, we just buy a chair sometimes for the whole family. So, and each family member have different heights. So very important there, if you are a person who's going to be working on the computer screen for a long time, always ensure that your chair height and your desk height, where you keep your laptop or your PC, in an appropriate way. But somewhere you find that you are having a low back stiffness. I see that. So having this folded blanket, see, actually I'm sitting on that, because having a folded blanket or keeping, a coccyx pillow, if you want, you can buy online a CockX pillow that also kind of gives it support, a raised hip there. So that would really help in uplifting the spine. The hip joint is higher than the knee joint. When the hip is higher than the knee joint, you would find that the stiffness around the lower back is eased. You would feel very, very good. You feel comfortable. And even then, like I told in the beginning of the class, if your feet is not reaching on the floor, invest on a footrest. Small footrest available again, or you can do a DIY at home. I always say DIY instead of buying things right now. Everything is better to do things at home. So folded blanket, the cushion. Sometimes you sit on a pillow, the pillow is soft, you sink. So it's important to have a folded blanket or a harder cushion to raise your hip. I think that really helps. Yes.
But I have been having my blanket which I'm sitting there.
Yes.
Very nice. We have a
the back there, backside instead of supporting, uplifting the spine actually really helps.
Thank you, Prabhaji. We have another question from Padmaji, who has asked, in the stretching forward with one leg outstretched, which you had shown, is it necessary to make sure that the hips are grounded or grounded and don't rise?
See, it's important that the sitting bones are important to be placed on the chair when you reach forward. Otherwise, we want to ensure that the calf muscles and the hamstrings are involved. If you start raising your sitting bone and then bending forward, then those muscles will not be involved. So you have to consciously ensure that the sitting bones are pressed on the chair and then you're reaching forward. And one important thing we all have to remember is it's not necessary that I have to reach and touch my toes. That is not important there. How your alignment and how your muscles are stretching. So maybe you could reach only your ankle joint, reach there, but are you pressing the sitting bone on the chair and reaching forward is where the benefit of that practice.
We have another question from Veronica, who says, that I have a left shoulder or biceps bursitis. I don't know what it is. So she says, I have a left shoulder or biceps bursitis from practicing yoga. So half plank especially. Do you have an advice on how to strengthen this area?
So the left shoulder, the bicep here, there's an inflammation in your muscles area there. So that is a very, very important muscle there to strengthen and to relieve any tension. Because what happens, most of the yoga practices applies pressure on your shoulder joint. And when this area gets affected, it slowly radiates to your neck and starts affecting your back. And it's a cycle, a deadly cycle there, which we need to kind of make sure that we need. So first advice or a suggestion I would give to Veronica is, first move out, let's start strengthening yourself rather than moving to a half plank pose now, because a half plank pose with this condition might be very strenuous. What are practices we did today in stimulating these muscles and relaxing here would really help. So every day, twice in a day, if you develop an exercise regimen or a therapeutic yoga where you are working on your shoulder muscles, your chest and your neck muscles, would really help. Your simple arm rotation, your simple raising arms, anything which revolves conscious breath awareness and your shoulder movements, and you would find that the inflammation or the edema there and the pain which is developed there, it is slowly eased. So sometimes the body is telling you that, come on girl, relax. But even then, we want to, we are more motivated to go into those poses which we see in the, the screens and people doing. So we don't listen to our body. So what you could do is join a therapeutic yoga class guided by a teacher. The teacher will guide you to do all the practice.
I think the next question that we have is, do we need to keep the lower belly pushed in active every time we are lifting or lowering the trunk of the body to protect the lower back?
See, very important here, everyone should understand this. What is the level my navel or my core is engaged? So very important there is, we are not putting a Uddiyana Bandha there. We are not, pushing our abdomen to such an extent. So there are some practices in Hatha Yoga when they say that, yes, pull in your abdomen to such a level that you feel the support of your lower back. But those people are been practicing for quite a long time and they have engaged or strengthened their core muscles. So what we all need to do, that all of you, I would suggest, who are maybe beginners here, or if you're doing your practices, navel is tucked in maybe about 2 inches, 1 to 2 inches, and you are engaging the navel instead of putting it loose in any of the practices you do. In that way, your core is strengthened very well. It is engaged there. But any point of time, you pull in your abdomen so much and then do the practice, you might be holding your breath, and that would result in a stomach cramp or maybe other major health issues in our abdominal area. So it's very important to have the right line. Put the right line there. Each of our body is different. Maybe for me, 1 inch putting, tucking in might be comfortable, or maybe for you, 2 inches might be comfortable. So, but still, I need to have the diaphragmatic breathing there. So, any pose, I do a simple twisting. I pull in my abdomen slightly, little bit, and then do the pulling. I'll find that my abdomen muscles are engaged, and I'm not sucking the abdomen. I'm not pushing it inside. So that will result in some other health condition.
I think we have a question from Dr. Jayaprakash Gupta, very regular participant in all our seminars. So he says, I do a lot of walking. Is it okay to do some of these practices, what you have taught, integrating with my walking as well?
Yes, sir. So I don't know your age, but walking is always good for everyone. Okay, so walking helps in mobility of your leg area, mobility of your spine. And when you swing your arms also, it also brings about mobility on your shoulders. Walking in the right way, walking with the right shoes, and walking straight and making the right heel, the strike of your leg, itself will help you in mobilizing many, many joints. But combining with yoga would help you to bring about mobility in other muscles which are not being involved in the walking. So walking will not involve all of your muscles. So you might have to have a combo of walking as well as a yoga regime there, which will bring about a kind of an overall, strengthening of the entire muscle. A simple practice like this today, we did a lateral stretch. Walking cannot stretch your lateral side. We did a forward stretch for your back muscles. Walking cannot do that. So you need to have a combo. So maybe you could do is walk, come back and do your yoga practice, or have a separate timing there. I'll walk in the morning, I'll do yoga in the evening. So have that timing, but don't do yoga and then go for a walk. Don't relax yourself and again stimulate yourself. So stimulate and then come for a rejuvenating yoga session.
One more thing, it's today after especially the lockdown season, now we are almost nearing 100 days of this situation. So where people staying at home, they are involved in all the household work doing by themselves. One side they're sitting more with digital gadgets and working the official things, a school or all those things. Same time, the household work they are able to do on their own because they don't get mates to come now. We used to say earlier the couples were made for each other. Now they are mates for each other. So they have to clean themselves and all. So in this situation, women who stand a lot and have to clean the vessels or cook and do all those. So some of them have been complaining that, we get a lot of pain in the heels also. So is there any specific practice for that is one of the questions that we have.
Yes, very, very lot of practices are there. So what I would suggest to women there, when you are standing in the kitchen or in the bartan area, the vessel here in India, you need to, not only just rinse it and put it in the dishwasher, you need to really wash the utensils there. And that time the lower back or the leg starts paining. So what you could do is when you are standing in front of the kitchen or there, you could, consciously put, shift the weight, one leg up to the other. Most of the time what happens is the heel, which is paining for you, might be the leg which you are putting more weight on. So, and maybe you're spending 20 minutes of your time in washing the utensils, you're putting way more weight, for example, in your right leg, and then slowly the right knee and the heel starts getting a toll there, because there's the ankle and the knee joint are the weight bearing joint. So it's important consciously when you're working around, shift the weight consciously. Shift the weight on your right leg for doing some time. Immediately become aware, okay, let me shift my weight on the left and do the practice, and do consciously wherever you can raise your heel up and down so that you kind of stretch your calf muscles, bring about some movement there. So that also helps. Maybe putting wearing a chappal. Maybe in India we always maybe have more marble tiles there, which might be putting a toll on your heel. So it is bringing about, pulling out your calcium. So that is why maybe your heel is paining. So maybe have a cushioned, a chappal there, which high quality chappal. Invest on a good chappal. This is not the time to put, a Hawaii chappal there. Invest on a good chappal there so that your heel has a good cushion. And that.
But also, we have a practice of not wearing chappal inside the home. In many of the Orthodox families,
Yes.
Still we have a problem with
Yes.
it.
So what you could do at that time is in the night time, maybe just before going to sleep, you soak your leg in warm water, adding a tablespoon of rock salt or Epsom salt, and that would really help in easing out any pain or heel joint or anything. So people who are not wearing their slippers, ensure that you're putting your weight, shifting the weight, and you walk around, raising heels up and down, do all those conscious leg practices, soak your leg in warm water, in rock salt water, you will feel that you would get a good result.
Wonderful. Also, being a lifestyle consultant, and you have had a special interest toward diet and nutrition as well. And I personally have read a lot of blogs that you write on the yoga diet, how to prepare them, right from the preparation to how they would help us in health. So in this kind of situation, we are not able to go much out and procure the different items from outside. So within the available resources at home, and then we don't have much time to experiment new things. So within the available resources, what do you suggest as the best food that we can add to complement the yoga practices also?
See, very, very important to make sure that our choices at home is very healthy. So first thing is go to your pantry or go to your kitchen shelves and check out first all the junk food which you might be having. So because the temptation to reach out, which is there, is it's there always. Maybe one or two we can keep it just in case you want to indulge your child once in a while. But it's important to first remove that and then add in healthy choices. Sometimes that will be better. And also ensure that your plate, what do you say, Dr. Nagaratna keeps saying, Tatte Tumba Tarkari. For people who don't understand Kannada is a plate filled with vegetables. So what I would tell everyone is, whatever your cuisine is, everyone from different parts of the world have joined here. Each of you have a different cuisine. Ensure that whatever you're cooking has a good amount of carbohydrates, protein, and vegetables, a lot of vegetables filled with nutrients, and ensure that you buy from sources which are pesticide free. So in that itself would be a start for all of you to ensure that you're giving in good nourishing pesticide free diet, and also ensure that you have enough of vegetables and legumes or pulses or lentils there in your diet, and ensure that if you are a meat eater, maybe reduce the content of meat. Maybe some of you might be meat eaters, so combine with vegetables. Always don't eat only meat, but we always say in our yoga language, ensure that you don't eat meat much because that is much more sattvic way. So ensure always that your plate is filled with healthy things and keep away the junk items, the highly processed, the heavy pesticide, the cornflakes, and the pesticide full things, and vinegar and so many things, the sauces, everything is filled with pesticides. Try to minimize that. Even though you are at home, don't think that I have to use all those things to make a wonderful dish for my child. You can really take things which is not that part at all and make wonderful things. I keep indulging my children with lots of different cuisines, but I don't tend to take those things and I keep educating my child.
Thank you so much, Baji, for this answer. We have one, I think, last question from Raksha Lohia, who says, we were talking of walking when you were answering Dr. Jayaprakash. So she says, walking even for 10 minutes makes my leg numb, and also it becomes heavy. So how can I improve? I also have a lower back pain.
So what is maybe what ma'am is maybe might be having is the legs are getting numb, is maybe there might be some strain in the nerve area in the lower back. So maybe that might have been the result of your numbness. So what I would suggest you that right now, so what you could do is you do some practices in the chair. That is, you can do sitting walking, sitting chair. See, it's a wonderful practice there. So you just sit and that's it. See, you can do this practice instead of walking on the chair, walking on the floor. So that itself might be very, very good. Yeah, yes. So you can do that. And also making sure that the legs are soaked in warm water, maybe to ease the nerves there. So the nerves are very, very strained. So ensure that you are doing a lot of relaxation practices and a lot of back strengthening practices. Automatically, when the back muscles and the nerves get kind of gets free and area to move around, you would find that the numbness starts reducing and you would find yourself comfortable. Once you find that, oh, I'm a little bit comfortable, can I walk for about 5 minutes? And even walking forward and backward also really works. Backward walking, if you all maybe Google, you will find that back walking is very good. But in India, you can't go on the roads and do back walking. You might have potholes, you might slip on something. But if you have a clean road with no other things, walking backwards, just walking backwards like this, walking backwards, looking straight, really helps a lot for people with back issues because it engages a different set of. So I hope I have given you enough tips.
I think a lot of insights, tips of how to improve our walk, right from being, to sitting and walking, something which people would never imagined. And that's a wonderful thing. And yes, see, you have been somebody who had been learning kind of the yoga philosophy from masters like Raghuramji and doing that. And also at one side, you're a yoga therapist, giving wonderful preventive as well as curative measures through the yoga techniques that you would teach to your participants. So in this, two-faced things that you are having, one side the yoga philosophy says to look at the human personality as a holistic, entity, not just the particular part of the body or not even the prana or all those things, but all put together as a holistic entity is what the philosophy says. But whereas when you give the therapeutic approach, it's like, something for the neck, something for the eyes, something for the back. So it's like the compartmental treatment, what the modern medicine is also approaching. So are we shifting from the holistic yogic conceptual philosophy towards the Western modern kind of approach, which is just compartmentalizing even the medical treatment, somebody specializing for the right eye, somebody for the left eye kind of things, Prabhaji?
So no, not at all. Actually, it's very, very important for every yoga teacher to ensure that the class is not only anatomical. Very, very important that it is not only in the physical aspect. So a yoga teacher is very, very important to make sure that the class is revolved around the awareness on the body, of course, because that is where you would know whether you're humping or whether you're sitting properly, but also connecting to your breath. So that would also become a holistic, a mode of putting in a class where you're bringing your attention to your breath, and then automatically the instruction should come in such a way that in middle of the class you ask your participants to observe your mind. How is the mind? So the class has to be sequenced in such a way that yes, you bring about bodily movements of your neck and shoulder to ensure that all these muscles are strengthened. What is the final purpose here? To make sure that you're connected not only to your body but to your breath as well as which is connected to your mind. So a class which is very, very important for every participant is you need to, make sure that you're not doing robotically. So robotically, what happens sometimes in a class where we start moving our neck and shoulders so much, or we start reaching out to the perfect pose, sometimes we are not aware of our mind, aware of our breath. We just maybe look at the camera and then be doing it. So right at this time, all are online sessions. So the connection, actual personal connection is not there between the teacher and the student there. But even then, the participant there, you are on the mat. So make sure that when you are doing the practices, you're not only making sure that your bodily only you are there in the practice, but the entire mind and focus is also there. That will bring about a holistic approach, like you mentioned, that all the breath, body, and the mind is involved in the practice. And ending the session with some mindful breathing or you want to end the session with absolute relaxation. What we did just before, we were aware of each and every part of the body, and then we kind of calmed down. We connected to the breath, and so that's how a holistic class can be scheduled.
Wonderful, excellent. I think that gave a very good clarity of how we can, bring the philosophy and practice together in one same session. So that's nice. And then thank you so much for bringing all this wonderful, practical insights in our application of yoga. That too in a kind of set up environment where we are at home today. Many of us are not able to go to a yoga shala and practice there. So being within our limited, environment where we can do all those. In fact, you have simplified the concept of even walking, that you don't have to go out for a walking because of social distancing. Yeah, that's a concern. Somebody yesterday from Chennai had put a thing that they have been fined, put a fine, a monetary fine from the police for making an attempt to go out for walking. So things are now improving in Bangalore, but still the condition is very worse. Though they are allowed to go out, but it's worse. So we need to manage to do all this kind of our activity, maybe the physical or maybe the meditative things and our recreations, everything within the environment of home is what is today's situation. So considering today's situation, and especially it is not just for today, maybe in future for people also, all this will be helpful certainly. And you brought really a lot of dimensions with even including the diet suggestions and the mindfulness and all those put together in a holistic way. So on behalf of Indica Yoga, the Global Festival of Yoga, and all our partnering organizations and all the volunteers, the participants, we're also glad that the number is very huge today, the participants, and they've all been highly appreciative of all your sessions. So we are thankful for all the participants who are still with us, even though we are a bit delayed. They're still with us and attending, enjoying your wonderful session, Prabhaji. So there's one thing always when people attend sessions like this, they have a kutuhala and an interest how they can get connected to teachers like you so that they can participate and benefit from that. I know that now you're doing a lot of wonderful session with the theme of other Yoga Bharati teachers also. So how can they get connected to you and how can they reach to you, Prabhaji?
So I'm very much part of Yoga Bharati. So if it is Prabha here, it is Yoga Bharati. So anything you want to reach out to me, then you could go to our website. Our website is www.yogabharati.org/VLR, or you could just Google Yoga Bharati Bangalore. You would get our website. You get to know how to connect to us. And maybe you could reach out by email, info@yogabharati.net. So that is an email which I actually personally attend to also. So you can reach out if you have any health issues, you want a consultation, or you want to reach out to any therapeutic yoga or rejuvenative yoga sessions conducted by a set of 25 teachers there. So you could, and we keep having satsangs and events and such informative, open talks and discussions. So which would really help in bringing about awareness of our health and body. So these are the contacts, and I'm sure you could reach out in that way. So info@yogabharati.net or Google Yoga Bharati Bangalore, because Yoga Bharati have different branches all over the world. So Yoga Bharati Bangalore would help you to reach out to us.
Also, friends, that we have the same session which has been aired through Facebook Live and in the Indica Yoga page. And also we have the YouTube where it is live also. And also after the session is over, the edited the videos will also be uploaded in the Indica Yoga YouTube channel, and that is always available. Even after that, suppose somebody has missed it for now, you can share it with all your friends so that they can also get benefited. And you wanted to once again go back and you want to refresh the memories. What did Prabhaji say about this particular exercise of neck or back? Because not that all of us can remember everything at one session. So the session is available. You can replay and practice for yourself also and share with many others so that they can get benefited. Also, bring more people to get the benefits. In Tamil, we say, Yam Petra Inbam Perigayu Vayagam. What benefit I have, all others get also the same benefit. So the numbers should also increase more and more people, only thing they may not be knowing. So if by passing this information, if you can ignite one more person's interest, I think that is the best thing that you can do. And I request all teachers, people like Prabhaji also to join us in this mission of spreading this yogic, fragrance to each and everybody. And thank you, so much. Before we conclude, before we get your final, last take-home message with which we need to leave, we would have the announcement for today's session. I request Koti ji to please, put us the poster for today's session. Yes, friends, we had the wonderful therapeutic yoga with chair by Prabhaji now. And the next session, which we are looking forward, is an excellent session, 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. That would be a wonderful session on Swadhyaya, the path towards wellness, which is taken by Professor Ramasubramaniam, who is a professor at IIT Mumbai for the Indian chair, wonderful person who has a very excellent traditional Vedic background, from a great parampara of Vedic scholars that he come from. And with this traditional knowledge and also the scientific fervor with which he's working at IIT Mumbai, so he's going to give us about Swadhyaya, which is very important foundation of yoga, especially the Kriya Yoga as Patanjali has been putting forth. And also we have in the evening from Francois Lauren, who is going to take us a wonderful session on pure consciousness, our true identity. That's between 7 to 8 p.m. tonight. So that's how today, the morning, evening, and the day sessions we are going to have. And as we all know, the sessions, power-packed sessions with energy, filled with wonderful experienced teachers and masters that we are going to have all the days to come. Today we are on the 2nd of June. So until 20th of June, we are going, July, we're going to have such wonderful sessions more. So please be connected, get more and more people to join and benefit, and let all be benefited with this wonderful yoga, which is a socially relevant science. And with this, now we go to Prabhaji again to listen to her last kind of advice or a take-home message from Prabhaji from Yoga Bharati.
So what I would suggest I would always say suggest instead of advice means you from your side, please check whether whatever I say it applies to you. Is the first thing is savoring. So savoring each and every experience, because all of us are at home right now. So right now we are surrounded with our family people, or a family people might be just a phone call away. So it's important that we savor each and every moment here, invest on the experiences, because obviously you are not going to be going traveling, you're not going to be, going for a sightseeing or, going out to eat. So here everything is whether you reach out to your family members and, or who are at home, to spend quality time there and ensure that do some family coordinating event things there with you so that you are in the moment. So sometimes because we are working at home, it's very important for us to draw a line there. So, okay, when I'm at work, this is the timing I'm doing. When I'm with family, this is what I'm going to do. So don't carry the work from your your workspace room to your dining table like that. So it's important for us to be consciously aware. So let's all of us maybe ensure that we are consciously aware, and what we are doing in yoga and your 1 hour practice is helping you to be consciously aware of your body and the mind. So automatically when you are off the mat, you would also understand that, oh, am I connected to my family? When my daughter or my son is talking to me, am I thinking of something else? So this is a lesson which I also have to keep doing that, because I'm also very busy in the office level, in the Yoga Bharati admin level, plus I have a large family. So each time it's actually a kind of awareness point for me that am I in the moment? Am I being there when somebody is talking to me? Am I savoring that moment there? Or because very important for us to say, oh, I didn't have that, I can't go there, I can't do this. We always end up, telling about what we don't have. But sometimes it's good that what we have, we really kind of accept with gratitude and savor each and every moment and listen to our body signals. So that is the second most important thing which I would like to tell everyone is, many times which what happens is we deny our body signals, even though we might have a stiff back or we might have some other bodily signals which is telling you, hello, come on, Prabha, take care of me, I'm suffering. That is the time you need to be connected to your body and immediately take appropriate action. You have to join a class, you have to make sure your sitting arrangement, posture, or you have to correct your diet, your lifestyle, whatever it is, listen to your body signals and ensure that you take care of the child. Because if your child is crying, making a tantrum, won't you address your child? Would you just sit and continue your job? No, right? So same way, the body is signaling you, hello, I'm having this pain, take care of me. I'm having a slight headache, take care of me. What is the root cause? Find out before putting a pill, popping a pill, or denying that, no, 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 I'm very strong. So there is always a denial in everyone that I'm very strong. I'm older, but I'm very strong. So that is a good way to motivate yourself, but that is also, you also need to be ensuring that you're listening and taking care of. So these are the two things which I would like to pass on.
Wonderful. I think that is coming out of your personal experience where you are maintaining the Samatva. You are leading a lead yoga organization with so many teachers and so many centers and so many activities as well. And also being a part of a big joint family. I know that, with so many people together, the kids at one side, the, in-laws and all being together, you are right, an exemplary person to make a right balance of all those, how the yoga, other social activities, as well as the family duties that, we maintain. So this is a wonderful, insight that you have shared out of your own personal experience. And I'm sure all of our participants would be definitely benefited out of all those. And thank you so much, Prabhaji, for spending your time and sharing all these beautiful insights with all of us. And once again,
Subhuji, on my end, I would really like to thank you for being there with me. It was real support when I'm seeing a familiar person there. That is very, very important when you're running a class, which to a platform which you don't know sometimes. And I'm very, very thankful to Indica Yoga platform, Indica Yoga team there, to Vinayji, Vishwa, and everyone for giving me an opportunity, to present in this international platform. Is really an honor, and I'm very grateful for them for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yoga is this big, family where we're all together. Maybe your organization's names would be different, but the goal is yoga. That is the union of all minds and souls to come together. And that is what ultimately we are all aiming towards, all the different streams of rivers, everything going towards the, the sea or the ocean, right? And that is what we're all trying to do. And in this effort, we are so glad that you're also part of this. And thank you, Prabhaji. And thank you all, friends, to being with us in this journey of yoga. And then today, again, let's meet back at 11:30 with a wonderful session on Swadhyaya by Professor Ram Subramaniam from IIT Mumbai. Dhanyavad. Namaste.
Thank you.